My name is Bruce Tamlin, and I'm a member of the Silver Bay YMCA staff. And I'm at the Silver Bay Inn in front of this fireplace with my colleague Austin Porth, who's producing this, and Garth Allen, who's my colleague working in Spiritual Life. And it's a pleasure for us to offer this to you. And I also bring greetings from Steve Tam, our CEO, and from all of our staff here at Silver Bay. Many of you maybe have been to Silver Bay. So I want to begin by thanking the staff of the Alliance of New York State YMCAs, including Kyle and Rob and all of their staff, for this opportunity to provide this video series for you. The staff of the Alliance of New York State YMCAs serve 39 Ys throughout our state, from Long Island all the way to Rochester and Buffalo. In New York State, these 39 Ys include about 45,000 YMCA staff members, employees like you. And not only that, but these 39 Ys serve 1.5 million members each year. So what a great organization we're a part of in New York State, and we're grateful for Kyle and Rob and their staff and what they do for all of us here in the state of New York. So this is the first of a series of 10 to 15-minute videos designed to support YMCA staff in the state of New York. Kyle and Rob have asked us to put this together, and so again, we're honored to do this. This is a challenging time as we all cope with this pandemic, and this pandemic has been gripping our nation and certainly the state of New York. So the topic of this first video, we'll look at some of the issues around self-care. How do we take care of ourselves during this challenging time? How do we support ourselves? How do we take care of those we love, those that are around us during this challenging time? So I'll share about 8 different ideas in this video, and that I hope that they might be helpful for you. But I'm sure you'll have additional ideas that I have not thought of. And please know that just because I share these ideas doesn't mean they're right for you. Trust yourself. And again, this leads me to the first idea that I'd like to share with you, and that is this: that in challenging and stressful times, it's best to trust your own deep intuition, to think about what's right for you to do, to know yourself best, to do what you need to do to take care of yourself. And again, this is trusting that deep intuition within you. What is it that best helps you through difficult times? As you know yourself, what is it that will allow you to deal with these challenges and come out the other side even a better person? Again, trust your deep inner knowing. Ask for what you need during these times. It's okay for you to have what you need to support yourself and to care for your family and for your loved ones during this stressful time. So this first idea, trust your deep intuition as to what's right for you. The second part of this one is that to give yourself permission to do what you need to do to take care of yourself. I was talking to a gentleman the other day who was calling, and we were talking about self-care, and he said, you know what he's doing? He loves cars. He loves cars. So he drives to a car dealership. There's nobody around. He's keeping the social distancing in place, but he's loving walking around and look at these new cars at this dealership. That's what really helps him take care of himself. What is it like that that helps you take care of yourself? And as a group of YMCA staff, we're always taking care of others in our work in the YMCA, which is a thoughtful and a beautiful way to live. But in times like these, it's important not only to think about others and support others, but also to take care of our own needs. We often don't think of ourselves first that way, but in times like this, it's okay. What do you need to do for yourself to get through this? Second idea. The situation where we are in, where you are probably sheltering in place like we are, we're all working from home at Silver Bay, and our YMCAs, your YMCA is closed, our YMCA is closed. These are very strange times. we are way out of our comfort zone. This pandemic has turned our world upside down. And for those of us, and many of us like this in the Y, we're used to being in control. We're active, we're accomplishing, we're leading, we're interacting with people. But this is not what's happening now, and maybe won't be happening for a number of weeks or even months. So for many of us, this idea of being in control is really central to who we are. And you know what? Now we're really not in control. This sort of loss of control can bring up all kinds of fear, anxiety. I was talking to somebody else recently that was having panic attacks around what they were feeling. This is not uncommon. And if you're experiencing really high stress to the point where panic attacks are part of your experience, reach out to somebody who can help and support you that way. Deep breathing, learning a relaxation exercise, the opportunity to calm yourself is important. But this high level of stress and anxiety that we are experiencing makes us more susceptible to emotional swings. We can find ourselves being irritable, frustrated, even angry. And what we want to do with this is to be really careful with these swings of emotions. I felt them myself, where we sometimes can unknowingly or unconsciously project our feelings, what's going on inside of us, project them onto others that way. And so we want to be careful how we treat others, our loved ones, people around us, that we don't take out what's going on inside of ourselves on them. This is the old story about, we had a tough day at work or a difficult day on the job and we come home and we kick the dog. Of course, it has nothing to do with the dog. It has all to do with what's going on inside of ourselves. So we want to become more aware at these times of our feelings and what's going on inside, and to not let them fester, but to let these feelings out, to talk with somebody. Because what happens is if we don't sort of allow ourselves to express them, they start to come out sideways. They sort of leak out, and we're grumpy, or we're upset, or we're feeling way out of sorts. I really suggest that you find somebody to talk to about this, and somebody you trust, not just anybody, somebody you trust, somebody you really value, somebody that you feel comfortable with, and they can share and talk with you. My colleague Garth and I at Silver Bay, this is the kind of relationship that we have, and I know you have those kind of relationships also. Number 3, I really suggest that you would participate in activities that serve to ground you, that serve to center you, that bring you back to your core sense of self. These grounding activities, there are so many different ones. I can just mention some. Walking, running, yoga, meditation, prayer, journaling, cooking, reading, gardening, cleaning, organizing, playing music, poetry, working outside, working out, having an opportunity to go for beautiful long walks. And there are many other activities too that can ground us. So to be aware of these activities and to be able to do them on a regular basis, a daily basis, so that you do feel grounded, that you can have some normalcy in your life when things are very not normal for any of us. These daily practices, we can call them daily practices, serve to ground us and bring us an inner sense of peace. Along with this one, I would suggest not listening to the news so much. It's just constant coming at us with numbers and statistics and thoughts and ideas, and I don't think it helps us. I think it just keeps us wound up in that way. Yes, we want to know what's going on. We don't want to be naive, but sort of this onslaught of news that comes at us only serves to make us more anxious that way. So I would just suggest limiting our access to the news outlets that way. Number 4, to really connect with others, to reach out to family, to friends, to colleagues, mentors, mentees, old friends. this is a wonderful opportunity to kind of go into your phone and pick out some people you haven't talked to in a while. Maybe you have some extra time and you can give them a call and how are you, and great to hear from you, and just a chance to really connect in real ways. And you know, this is the time as we connect with friends to be real, to share what we're feeling. I don't think we want to worry so much about how we're supposed to be or how we should be or how other people expect us to be. You know what? These are great times just to be where you really are, to be who you really are. We sometimes talk about that as the persona, how we expect us to be, or how people expect us to show up. I'm not a big fan of that in times like this. I'm not really a big fan of that at any time, but to really, in this connection with others, to be who you really are, that beautiful core self that you know yourself to be. Number 5, ask yourself in these circumstances, am I in a position to be able to be of service to others today? Now, some days we're not. Some days we're just continuing to crank on our work at home and we really can't be, or maybe part of our work is servicing others. But there are other days where we really might be able to be of service to others, and that we might allow ourselves to be more and more aware of those needs of those people around us. I think about my own wife and our children. Some are with us, some are not with us, or living in other states. But how can we really center ourselves and ground ourselves in a way that we can really be present to others, really present, move beyond our own anxiety, to provide a safe place for people to be with us, and that when they're with us, they feel that sort of grounded presence about us. And in our calm and grounded state, they take away something from that. So this opportunity to be of service to others, those we love and friends and those around us. Number 6, I would suggest that we be gentle with ourselves and with others during these challenging times. This pandemic has thrown us way off our game, way out of our routine, with the result of creating extreme stress and anxiety and worry. These are not normal times. And so we may not experience our usual normal reactions. If we overreact or maybe act out in ways that are not our best selves, boy, be gentle with yourself. Be understanding. Be forgiving of yourself. And be forgiving of others. Give them the space that they might need to act out in ways that are not their true selves either. So there's this opportunity to really show grace, to show love, to show respect for others and ourselves when we're going through really difficult times. I want to share a little bit more about this one and share an insight that may be helpful for some of you. What I have found in my work prior to becoming the chaplain at Silver Bay, I was 20 years in the sort of healthcare field where I did a lot of therapy and was a therapist. And what we find is that those of us that have had trauma in our past, maybe you in your family of origin and the family you grew up with, there was a lot of abuse or challenges or not a healthy situation, or you experienced some things, you had early losses in your life where you came away from your childhood or your young adult years or in your 20s where you had a lot of trauma. This trauma, some of it is unconscious to it. We're not aware of it anymore. But when we get ourselves into a situation like we are now, where our world has been turned upside down, this trauma can be stirred up. And we find ourselves sort of being in touch with some pretty negative thoughts and pretty challenging things that have been in our past. And so I just say this gently to us, but if you find yourself harking back to something in your life that was really difficult, that this pandemic has stirred up in you, this fear, this crisis has stirred up in you, ask for some help. reach out to somebody that can help you on the phone. You're welcome to call me here at Silver Bay. I know the staff at the Alliance, but you might know some resources in your community that you wouldn't be face-to-face with them because we're doing social distancing, but you'd have somebody that you could reach out to and explain what's going on. Because it is important to be aware of that trauma that can kick in when we go through times like this. Number 7, know that this will pass. This period of time, this crisis we're in, this will pass. And there's hope in that, and we want to hold on to hope. And that hope allows us to know that there'll be a tomorrow, and know that our Ys will open back up, and that we will be back at work, and that we'll return to our routines, and that we'll welcome back members, and we'll even welcome new members. And in the midst of this crisis, it's comforting to know and to remember and to keep in perspective that this too will pass, and we'll again be serving our communities with the life-giving and nourishing programs that we provide through our YMCAs. These are great opportunities that we offer our communities, and they will come back, and we will be back at them. And I know, I know Garth and I and others have talked about this at Silver Bay. We are going to be so grateful for the time when people can come back to Silver Bay. We can already feel it. We will just have a deep sense of gratitude for welcoming people back. Our campus right now is just bare, nobody here. And it has a beauty to it, but it's missing life. And so the gratitude that we will all feel as we welcome people back to our YMCAs will be good for all of us. And of course, we would never want anything like this pandemic to hit our world. Our hearts go out to those who have lost loved ones, and to those who have been laid off, and to those who are struggling to keep life going through this really challenging time. But since this pandemic is here, and this is number 8, since we're confronted with this reality, since we're dealing with this, and this is real, let me pose a question. Where is there an opportunity for you in all of this? What are the opportunities that this crisis provides for each of us? Leonard Cohen, in his song Anthem, has this beautiful line, and the line goes like this: "In everything there's a crack, and that's where the light comes through." Well, this pandemic is a huge crack for our world, for our country, for our state, and for our YMCAs. A horrific, wretched moment in our history. But with it comes opportunity. The Chinese symbol for crisis, it's a symbol, round symbol for crisis, that's what you see on this side. But if you flip it over, right on the back side of that is opportunity. And so with this pandemic, there is an opportunity at the global level, at the individual level, at the national level, and at the community level. An opportunity for more light, more insight, more awareness, a greater sense of consciousness, a greater capacity to grow in compassion, to grow in gratitude, to grow in generosity, and to grow more in our capacity to love. And maybe because of this crisis, maybe the countries of the world will learn to cooperate a little more effectively together. Maybe our own country will be able to overcome some of its divisions, the deep divides. And maybe our communities where we serve in our YMCAs will come to more be aware of meeting the needs of all of our neighbors. But what I want to most lift up here is the individual level. Here is the question for you and for me, and maybe for all of us. what are the opportunities this pandemic has presented for us to grow more fully into the women and the men that we've called to be? What are the places this crisis has awakened within me and maybe within you that we need to take a look at if we want to become better fathers, mothers, sisters, brothers, aunts, uncles, YMCA professionals, people of life? Where are the shadow places within me, within us, that I often don't take time to look at, that now, because of this pandemic, I have more of an opportunity to be aware and to take a look at and to address? Maybe you and maybe I. Hopefully we have the courage and the willingness and the commitment to make the most of this very challenging crisis and to look at those places within us where we can become better people. Maybe I need to take a look at the fact that I'm too impatient, or maybe I'm always rushing in my life, or maybe I have some addiction that I really want to handle, or maybe I have something about communicating that I'm just not doing effectively, or maybe I'm doing something that's just not serving my body well. There are so many places for us to look. None of us have it all figured out. There are great opportunities for us to grow into even greater and greater people than we already are. All of us are on this path throughout our lifetime of becoming more our truest selves, more the people that we're called to be, moving to understand more fully what it means to love and to be loved. This is the journey of our lives, mine and yours and everybody else's. And in times like this, we have an opportunity to take some steps on this journey, to take some steps that support us, to take some steps that allow us to become the people that we know deep down inside we want to become, to be healthier, to be happier, to be more full of life, to be more joy-filled. This is the opportunity that's in front of us. May each of us make the most of this current opportunity. In the midst of all its challenges, in the midst of all of the issues that we're facing, may each of us use this opportunity to grow. I want to close with a poem that was written by Kitty O'Meara. She said this: "And the people stayed home and read books and listened and rested and exercised and made art and played games and learned new ways of being and were still and listened more deeply. Some meditated, some prayed, some danced, some met their shadows, and people began to think differently, and people healed. And in the absence of people living in ignorant, dangerous, mindless, and heartless ways, the earth began to heal. And when the danger passed and the people joined together again, they grieved their losses and made new choices and dreamed new images and created new ways to live and to heal the earth fully as they had been healed." I think Kitty has put her hand on a really beautiful idea that, again, in this opportunity that we have, how do we help heal ourselves, our communities, our YMCAs, our world, this earth? So, again, thank you for the opportunity for us to share these videos with you. The next video, we're working on the next couple of videos. My colleague Garth is doing one, and I'm going to do another one. Garth is doing one on the spiritual dimension of our time and how our faith can help lead us through. And I'll be doing another one on leading in challenging times. So on behalf of the Alliance of YMCAs, of New York State YMCAs, thank you for watching this. May you and your loved ones be well. Goodbye and take care. Thank you now.